So we're going to begin in a position that we don't begin in all that often. I'd say between sitting and lying on our back and standing, being kind of the top three, this guy gets a little less love. But we're going to start prone. Okay? So we're going to start prone. Now, first thing to do is just find a nice comfortable shape for your legs. Probably between the width of your mat and touching each other. I'm kind of leaning into wide, feels really good. Also too, we're keeping the trunk slightly propped up for this first minute or two as we get rolling. And you can also find the optimal angle for your ankles. You can kind of barely see it there in frame. And surprisingly, that'll have a pretty relevant impact on your hips and your waist, and maybe even sensations in your low back. Okay. And then you'll tune out from watching the screen, as our face will soon be downward, but I'll provide verbal cues, and we'll also just find a little space for some quiet. So please let the forehead rest. Still here, we're just in quiet mode. Last few moments here. And then please, for the last minute here, let's use the wide open awareness capacity that we always have. And then add a little feature in the middle of it, wherein we use our power to focus, concentration. And just drop into the breath experience. So for the last minute here, notice breath sensations. And you guys don't forget to mute yourself if you can. I hear somebody, and I don't want that to interrupt everybody else. So anyway, let's be here in the Sphinx pose for a moment. Tuck under the toes, and just very easily, one leg at a time, bend, kind of like a, like a little hammer. Pretty much on a straight, even trajectory. Heel coming toward that glute. Oof. Go to your comfortable end range of motion. And just try about 10 more. If for whatever reason it produced a little cramp in your hamstrings, that's certainly not the intention. It's not meant to be done fast or with that level of intensity, so just slow it down. Maybe that'll help. Don't bend quite so far. Maybe that'll help. If there's no issues of cramping, go as far into the bend as feels good. Last couple. Okay. Next, let's extend both legs back to straight. Untuck the toes, so you can think of it more as like pointed out. And then just 8 or 10 or 12 times squeeze your glutes. And release. And squeeze. And release. You may not pick up on it via the screen, but you can probably feel in your own body, although I can kind of see it on screen, that each facilitation of strong glute activation, from this position the heels are kind of turning a little bit toward each other. The toes turn a little more out. There's slight turn out. That's often associated with that strong glute contraction. Let's try 2 more. It's not the only condition under which you can activate your glutes, but it's strongly correlated. Okay, last bit from here. We're going to flex one arm forward, superhero style. We're going to extend one arm back. Kind of superhero in a different type of flight. We're going to release the head down. Now, a maybe here, before we switch sides, bend the leg that represents the down arm. Catch hold, maybe. Oh. Okay. Slowly release. Switch. So new arm forward. New arm backward. Same head tucked under. Maybe bend the leg that represents the down arm. Maybe catch hold of the foot. Okay, everybody. Gently release that. Please bring the hands alongside your upper trunk and slowly shift up to a quadruped shape. So, we're going to get into quadruped, y'all. Okay. So, I want to make sure I'm covering all of my bases tonight. So from quadruped, we're only going to do this like 8 to 10 times. Get as wide as you want with your knees. Experiment. Maybe it'll feel a little bit better to have your knees wider. Let your whole spine, and to some degree even your hip sockets and your shoulder sockets, be part of this whole experience we're about to go through. Familiar one. Find flexion up into the cat shape. So you're flexing back through your pelvis, your shoulders are in flexion, your spine's in flexion, your head's in flexion, the whole thing. And then go into extension. And you don't have to go to your very edge range of motion. You want to express a nice comfortable range of motion. Obviously you're trying to go beyond neutral. But if the edges are, on a 1 to 10 scale, range from 8 to 2. About 6 or 8 more times. Some random critter in the bushes. These are asynchronous with breathing. You're just really focusing on the details of the movement throughout your spine, into your shoulders, into your hips. Global flexion. Not quite at its max. in your shoulders, in your hips, in your spine, global extension, arching, and then the round. Last one, everybody. Next, we're going to come up to kneel, really just as a transition up to our feet. All right. Whew. All right, we're up to our feet. So a couple times, everybody reach both arms up. And both arms down. Okay, on the next one, pause at the bottom. Simple enough. Let your arms just go behind you. We'll try that a few more times. This is a simple but proven strategy to kind of unwind from if you've been in a seat a lot. So are variations on what we just did down on our belly, but this one's great. Like if you have to work a lot while you're sitting for your job, once an hour you can stand up and just go into some full upward flexion for your arms. Kind of pause at the top. Maybe do the tiniest bit of little back bend. Sort of like that global dog tilt. Well distributed, not to your max. Come out of any back bend. Unflex the arms. Pause at the bottom. And maybe just tuck your arms behind you again. So try that 5 or 6 times. And try to sear it into memory. I know it's really simple. It's probably easy to memorize. Four more. Three more. You can really go at your own pace, so maybe you've got 2 more if you're going a little slower, 4 or 5 more if you're going a little faster. It definitely shouldn't subjectively feel to you as though you're hurrying through them. Nonetheless, we do move at different paces. I'm on track for 2 more. Last one. Oh, that is so nice. Next, it's a little more complex. Similar in some ways. We're going to step right foot forward. Not just any random right foot. You step your right foot forward. Okay. Then we'll have left foot back. And we'll be in some manageable version of lunge. So just checking in if you're relatively new to the yoga practice or to my classes. Lunging, we're basically everything straight ahead, almost like down a tunnel. Eyes, chest, trunk, hips, knees, toes. One flat foot, that's the front one. But that back foot, it's just the ball of the foot on the ground. So it's no heel connected. This front knee, if you're a little like I'm prone to, tends to maybe like bias in like almost towards your big toe. And you probably want to lean a little bit in the opposite direction and let it bias more out. Okay? And let's just cover the lunge basics on the other side. So step to the new side. How long is the lunge? How wide is the lunge? For right now, for this exercise, literally just what you can comfortably step to. Bam. There it is. Then we refine it. Square it up. Straight ahead. Straight ahead. Level. A little bit out. Okay. Let's go back to side 1. Square. Even. Now if we're going to bias this front hip slightly externally, like it's rolling away, if this is the center of the body, it's rolling away. Let's have this back hip kind of bias slightly internally, like it's coming into the midline. So back leg is long and has a slight internal bias. Front leg bent, slight external bias. Step out, side 2. So we're squared up, straight, heel off, bent, heel down, little external, back leg, little internal. Okay? Now we're going to add the movements from the last round. Let's go to side 1. This is round 3, but side 1. It doesn't even matter how many rounds we're in. Now, got the external, got the internal. Lift the arm that represents back leg. For me, it's the left one. Lift it high. Then proceed. Remember, this back hip is turning in a little. Then proceed to reach the arm back about as far as you can comfortably reach it. You should be feeding your psoas muscle right now, which is one of many hip flexors, but a very specific muscle. Oh, release with the arm. Come out. New side. Oh. So a few times side to side. So you're in a lunge that you step in. You get those refinements, external, internal. You reach an arm high, flexed along the ear. Then you start to, when you reach that arm back a little bit, that's when you really awaken that line. Release from the backward reach. Release from the upward reach. Come out of the lunge. About 3 or 4 more per side. Oh my God. That just feels amazing. Ooh, gotta pause every once in a while and kind of feel the effects there. I'm on track for 2 more per side. You're squaring up, finding those little nuances of external and internal rotation, finding flexion in the arm, and then leaning into a little bit of backward reach, which is shoulder and spinal column. Whew. Stay mindful during the transitions. Oh my God. Last one, everybody. I think we cut out there for a second. Oh, goodness. The irony, y'all, of like being back at home right next to the house. and then the, we're less stable than I was out at the marina. But anyway, all right. More importantly, hopefully that just felt really, really nice. All right, y'all. So, next move. Let's try this. We're going to step the left foot forward. Leave that right foot behind. Nice and straight. It's basically the lunge. This guy can have a little less bend, right? Not a big full 90-degree bend, but not perfectly straight either. And what we're going to do is try to get that back foot just up off the ground. So maybe front leg's got a little bend, back leg has no bend. Keeping everything kind of squared up for now. Last one. Okay, let's switch legs. So it looks a little like a lunge to start, but it's not quite like a lunge to start. The front leg has less bend. But a lot of the components are there. Two more. Oh, man. Last one. Okay. We're going to go back to side one. So what I'm hoping we can develop toward are like little mini versions of half moon and revolved half moon. So we've got warrior 3, which is up the middle, half moon, which is open, revolved half moon, which is closed. I'll walk you through it. So just barely get off that back leg. And just a couple degrees open up. You're not trying to twist your upper back, you're actually just rotating at your hip. So if I had a dowel across my back, I could still do this pose. The dowel would stay there because I did it at my hip. Now turn in a little bit, more of that inward rotation. Neutral, come up. I know this is, definitely harder when we start adding the two Ardha Chandrasanas. So new side, just explore a little bit off neutral. So find the neutral. Still, a legitimate exercise unto itself. Open slightly. And then close. Neutralize. Ooh, come up. Wow. Harder for me on that leg. We're going to go through that a couple times. So another way to think about it, we're going back to side one. Part one, shine your belly button straight down to the floor. Part two, shine your belly button toward one wall. Part three, shine the belly button toward the other wall. Even just the tiniest bit off neutral. Back to neutral, so the transition's smooth and easy. New side. Light shines down. Light shines open. Got to get back to neutral before I do the rotation. Oh, that guy's juicy. Back to neutral. Oh, One more time through all of those. Per side. Belly points either downward, rightward, or leftward. Now you could use a chair. I waited a long time to mention that. So I really was hoping you could kind of develop this with the balancing component as well. Last time through. Virabhadrasana 3. That's belly faces down. Mini Ardha Chandrasana. Belly faces open. Virabhadrasana 3. Belly faces down. Into Pavarita Ardha Chandrasana. Belly faces the other way. Oh man, that is good news. And then come back to neutral. All right. I want to make sure I covered them all. Some of you guys know. Got him. I've made reference to a very well-known doctor of biomechanics named Stuart McGill. He's come up with a big 3 before that help with spinal stabilization, which is like doing the neutral tabletop with arm and leg extended, bird dog, side plank, and then like a version of a sit-up. So these are more of his super researched movement patterns. So to just cover them real quickly, let's actually come back through. We have the cat and the cow. Please just try like 2 or 3, just to reinforce. One more. Okay. Next. We've got the stand and the reach. The one that you could easily insert throughout your day if you tend to sit a lot. Arms up. Find kind of the edge range. Go into a slight bit of back bend. Come back, let the arms relax down. Let's try that one more time. Next, the lunge with reach. Now, I layered in lots of extra lunge instruction tonight just to make sure we really refine that component. But it's kind of assuming you know all of that. Find the arm that represents back leg. Move it upward. Move it backward. Find a little back bend. Your hips are still squared up. And release. That's really targeting psoas. Switch sides. Upward flexion with arm with all the details of your lunge dialed into. Oh, full backward reach with that arm. Oh. And release. And then the last component, which I will show on the chair briefly just to make sure we're all together here. You have a neutral hip, so back leg straight, front leg tiny bend, belly shines downward. Then you go open. Right, I could do this with my arm if I wanted to. And then you go back to neutral, and then you try to turn the opposite way. It's not just I'm trying to turn my chest, I'm trying to pivot that hip. Okay? And I'm just going to go through that one more time on the new side. And you can go through it one more time too. So squared hip, open hip, and rotated inward hip. Whew. That's been the hardest one for me consistently. Doing this inward with the right leg being the standing leg. So for me, after I've gone through the sequence many, many times, both prepping for class and here in the session, I know that's what I need to work on a little more. Come back, and then we're up and out. Awesome, you guys. That is seriously such a good one to memorize. All of those. That's why I reinforced it and we went over it one more time. Okay. So bear in mind, if you're dropping into those movements, you want to do it a little bit more like we did in the beginning of the session, kind of longer, 8, 10, 12 reps or several minutes in each one, rather than just that quick review. But anyway, now let's come back down onto our belly. We open down here. And let's just spend about 2 minutes. It can be as little as 10 breaths, if you're breathing rather slowly. 10 breaths, roughly. Loosely 5-ish on the inhale, 5-ish on the exhale, maybe a little pause works its way in there. Last few breaths here. All right. So the plan is to just flip like a pancake. Now you might need to, maybe you need to, let me rephrase. All right. You might need to reorient for whatever reason. But we are going to come onto our back. For me, it works out to just flip over. Hello. Okay. Now once you've flipped over, everybody, we're hopefully all squared away and situated on our backs. We're going to do a little bit of hands-on. Hands on your own shoulders in this case. And you're simply going to need, oh goodness, that space between your neck and the heads of the shoulders. You might be able to get more interesting responses with kind of a squeeze between thumb and index fingers. That's probably how it manifests, but maybe just a little kind of press with tips of fingers. Maybe getting a little bit further back into the space just outside of your shoulder blades. You're getting right into these pressure points. There's like a little diamond here between your collarbone and kind of your shoulder blade, and you can be pressing into that space, squeezing into that space, kneading that space, palpitating that space. Just a nice, good general massage. Now, you might also choose to just do like one. So for instance, hopefully you can see this. I'm letting my head turn away and just squeezing the one side. Letting the head turn away and just squeezing now the new side. Oh, okay. When it feels like both sides have had a nice even squeeze, we're going to reach the arms up and just shake out the hands. Maybe you shake them along your side, maybe you shake them straight up, maybe you shake them out. You can even shake the feet and the legs a little bit. You can keep the legs on the ground, but they can do a little bit of shaking. And then find your way down with your arms. Shake free with the legs. So kind of let that shaking subside. Try to find a position for your head that feels centered. Now that's on the side-to-side axis between your ears. But it's also on like that y-axis, so you don't want to have your head too arched or overly tucked. Right? You wouldn't want a giant pillow, but you don't want to feel like you're in too much extension either. And then simply close your eyes. And let go of any residual effort. Now, maybe you can even let go of any tension that remains in the body. Maybe you just let be. Shavasana, 5 minutes of corpse pose. Just bring your attention back to breathing. And then please take your time, everybody, but transition into any comfortable seat. Okay, everybody, so thank you so much for coming. I hope that felt good. We'll cover some of those again in another session, but I wanted to be very thorough with it tonight. So anyway, thank you all. Namaste. For the modern cannabis smoker. Bring it in now. And exhale. You've completed one round of cannabis pranayama.